Cześć. Hi, Dan.
Hey, it's not Dan tonight. It's actually Jeremy.
Oh,
Um, I work in the town clerk's office, and Dan asked me to help do some of the meetings.
well, hi, Jeremy. This is Yvonne. I don't know that we've met before.
Nice to meet you. No, I don't think we have it. Dan let me know that you usually host these meetings, like you run it after he starts it up. So I'll
Right.
probably pass it off to you around like 7 once things start getting going.
Sure. That'd be great. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, Betsy. How are you?
Good. All right. There should be lessons on how to
The light.
adjust lighting and everything else.
Actually, we did a program on how to look your best on Zoom.
I did. I remember that, and I didn't see it. And Paul is downstairs listening to the one on Mark Twain.
Oh, he got in? Okay. How did it go?
Oh, it's still on. He's enjoying.
He's enjoying it?
Yeah.
We had, did it look like, I purposely didn't go on because we didn't have any spots left. I didn't want to take up a spot. So did it look like it was a full screen?
I never see. Yeah, the whole screen was filled. I don't know what that in terms of.
We capped it at 100.
Uh-huh.
And we had lots of conversations the last 24 hours about should we quick get an expansion on our Zoom account so that we could go to 300 because it was filling up like crazy. But then we checked into the cost of it and it was prohibitive. And then there was a one-time $50 cost. But then we thought, if we do that and one more person signs up and we've paid $50 for one person, is that the best use of our? So we thought, you know what, we'll just cap it at 100 and see what happens. I mean, we actually overbooked by 20, I think, because we always have about a 30% no-show. And we anticipated today people would be even more preoccupied, so we might have a higher no-show. So,
Yeah. Oof.
yeah.
So it's with the Sherman Library, is that right?
Yes, it's with the Sherman Library. Yep. And the reason we did that is because we wanted to reduce our cost for the program. So when Elizabeth planned it, she told me the cost and I think it was $150. And I said, well, that's, with our tiny program budget, that's a good chunk of our program budget. So see if you could partner with someone. And so she found Sherman. So I wanted someone who had a good social media presence, but I don't think Sherman ended up doing that. They barely could figure out the Zoom. So
I mean, it's not a bad, it's a good way to if you can get good partners to share the costs and hopefully see more people.
Yep, we're trying everything we can to make that budget stretch. Hi, Leslie. Hi, Mary. Mary and I are spending the whole day together.
So we have 1, 2, 3. We're halfway there, guys.
Jeremy, did you want to turn over host now, or do you want? You've already got it set on live stream, so.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. If you're good with letting everyone in, then I'll give you the host right now.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
And have a good night then, Jeremy.
Thank you. Okay, I think it's working.
Yep, I'm admitting Christina now, so.
Should be great. Have a great night. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, you too. Bye. Sitting in for Anne. Hi, Christina.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
So we have Alice, we need one more. Alice, you're on mute. Are you hiding?
Oh, here we go. Here's our sixth one. So, John said he wouldn't make it, and Kathy Lasser said she wouldn't make it.
Yep.
Claire, did you get that?
Yep. Hello. How do I get on my iPad? I'm on my phone, but the iPad, I need an ID number. Do we have one?
Let me see if they sent one. I think they sent the link, but I'll check. Hang on a second.
Sometimes the ID number is that same 10-digit number.
Right.
They did not send an ID number, Alice. They just sent the YouTube link and the Zoom link.
Okay.
How are you?
Alice, if you open the link from your email on your iPad, it might prompt you to open it on the app.
Is that? Oh, okay, Casey. All right, I'm going on my iPad to find it.
Yeah, you need a device to find what you want.
This is very exciting.
Yeah, it's probably that 822 number. It's 822-435-39040, but there's no ID number after that. So if they ask for another number, you're out of luck.
Right.
Thank you.
Oh, here I am. I'm going to be joining. Oh my God. Okay, I'm turning off my phone.
We'll just have 2 Alices.
I'm such a techie here. Okay, let me see here.
All right, I'm putting my dinner plate away while we're waiting for Alice. Coming right back.
Sure.
What an organization. All right, we're here. We've got 6 people. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, when Casey gets back from cleaning up her dinner dishes. So we have 6 people and we can call the meeting to order. I'm assuming we have no public.
No, why would I want to know?
Okay, I'm going to give Casey so that everybody is actually here when we start doing things. Okay, so if we get ready to start, I should probably say for Casey's probably the only one new enough. We hold this meeting early in January because traditionally the town budgets are due to the first selectman around the middle of January. So rather than having to finish all the budgets in December, it gets done now. So correspondence received. You all received a memo from a former Brookfield Library employee. Since it's a personnel matter, the name won't be included, nor will a copy of that correspondence be included with our records. We can see how discussions go tonight or postpone an executive session to talk about it till the meeting later in January, which is, I guess, my preference, just to let things settle down. But just to acknowledge that we did receive it. Let's see. Okay, we can approve the minutes of the December 16th meeting. Do we have a motion to approve? Thank you.
Second. Everybody's on
I
mute.
can do it this time.
Yes. Thank you. Are there additions and corrections to the minutes? Okay, all in favor of approval, raise your
Aye.
hand.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Okay, thank you. There's no treasurer's report. There's no director's report at this meeting. It will come at a regularly scheduled meeting. Do we have a report from the new library committee? Or do you want to postpone it? I'm fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would postpone it. I don't think we need to report on it right now.
Okay, Mary?
Yeah, I thought everything was postponed except budget tonight.
Yeah, it is, but.
Okay. We had a very productive meeting at 1 o'clock today. More details later in January.
Thank you. Okay, so the budget, which is due the 16th. And in true form, all that information showed up yesterday in the director's email, knowing, I mean, we've known that it would happen and we sort of know a lot about the budget, but this is the formal, okay, now your budget is due on the 16th of January. And I think we've talked about this a little. One of the things that they are saying is, by they, I guess I mean the first selectman and the finance director at this point. Originally, they projected a 2.5% pay raise for non-union employees, which covers the library 100%, so that we could ask for that. And at that point, 2.5% for what they refer to as the operating budget, not salary part. Well, they have retracted down to 2.25% raise for non-union employees. And what they think we should do is submit a 0% budget increase for the operating budget, not salaries. Their reasoning is, and their reasoning has logic to it. It is because this has been a bad year for any number of people. So finances are bad. If you talk to the people in social services, there are more requests for services, for rent help, mortgage help, food from the food pantry. So this is not an easy year for any number of Brookfield residents, and paying taxes is not high on the agenda. On the other hand, the paragraph describing all of the reasons why they wanted a 0% increase, they keep saying, just put this in. Please don't make us cut your budget. I'm frankly perfectly happy to have them do it and not us. I think that the board's role and the directors is to say, this is the amount of money it will take to do the job we are doing. We are already behind because of costs of COVID, which have not, some of which have been covered by the town, but an awful lot have not. Things that everybody forgets about is wipes and sprays and masks and plexiglass up the wazoo. At least we don't have shower curtains like the first selectman's office does. So we have a choice of putting in a budget that agrees with what they say, and there is no guarantee if we submit a 0% budget increase that they won't cut it further. So you all got a copy of it. The only sheet really that we need to deal with tonight, which is the budget overview. There are all sorts of extra pages if you want to read the budget, particularly under salaries and wages. The salaries and wages is at 2.25%. The contingency fund, which we put into the budget this year for the first time at the suggestion and the agreement of everybody in the finance department. And we talked about all sorts of reasons why we would need that salary contingent line. Among them, when we have full-time people out and we have to replace them at their job by somebody else, we wind up paying two salaries, the full-time person and whoever is taking over that job. We also have a problem when people retire. You are wound up with these costs covering unused vacation and sick time. And this year it's about $6,500. The $10,000 that was originally approved in that budget was cut down to about $1,500. And then they announced that it didn't cover the retirement costs, which is one of the only thing so far we've been hit with. Thank goodness we actually have a record of where it clearly describes in a budget document that this contingency fund does cover retirement costs. And hopefully nobody else is close enough to retirement to worry about it for a while. So we are going to put in another $10,000. It's actually classified. I mean, it's the kind of money that if we don't use it in a given year, we give it back. So it's not ours to carry over or ours to transfer into any other line item, which is, I'm perfectly fine with that. That's a good way of doing it. So the other part of our budget is where we have been asked to come up with a 0% increase. And I talked to Yvonne, and the budget you have with you is a budget that is not a 0% increase. It's a mild version of what we need to operate the library at the rate we are operating it and the rate that we think the town wants it to be operated. I mean, costs go up every year. If you get a 0% increase, I talked to Mary about it this morning, and she said, yeah, it's an automatic budget cut. I mean, it's less money because everything goes up every year. And the unfortunate part about our budget is all of the fixed costs, like anything except buying books. If those costs go up, the only large budget line item we have is our book budget. It's books, content, it's all the information that we buy that supports all of the services that we do. And so if we have to use that to cover our fuel costs, cover our cleaning costs, cover whatever else it is, that's a detriment to the central meaning of the library. So we are going to ask for more money in that. And
Betsy,
yeah.
what are the union raises next year?
They tell us that 2 1/4 is what it is. I have
Okay.
no idea
Okay.
how we would. Yeah.
If that's true, then 2.25 would seem in line, sadly. You know, I mean, if the union were higher, like 3 or 3.5, I'd say jack it up. But if it's 2.25, it's a hard time to argue against.
Yeah. Yes. No,
Against that.
yeah, I'm not making much of an argument.
No.
In fact, we calculate what Yvonne calculated that 1/4% loss is $4,000 on the library salary line.
All told.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 2.5, 2 1/4. They're, you know, we quibble about them, and they're such, you know, awful raises.
Are the new custodian types that we have, are they in this budget?
Yes.
Okay, good. I don't want to forget them.
Yes,
Okay.
no, I don't want to forget anybody. And we have all of our, every position we have is on this budget with a dollar amount. So we didn't leave off anybody because we don't have somebody in the job as we did once before. Okay, as long as, I mean, I know that Marcia talked about giving us some software to make sure we tracked all our positions, but
It's actually not software. It's actually, she set up basically it's a spreadsheet. So, so we have been tracking that, and she hasn't sent me the updated version yet, but she is working on it. Okay.
as long as we make sure that we don't skip a position. So with this version of an operating budget, we are requesting more than the controller and the first selectman would like. The other sheet was, the other thing they asked us that you can submit one per department is a next priority form, on the theory that if the town doesn't have to spend as much money on something or gets unexpectedly high income from something, that there might be money left to give you more money into your budget. into your operating budget. This is, last year this was one of the requests we made, was to increase our book budget.
Gasp.
We call it
Radical.
yeah, a radical notion if I ever heard one. So this
It wasn't approved.
yeah, but I don't hold out a lot of high hopes for this one either, but maybe if it gets like the capital budget, if it's there for 5 years, maybe they'll finally say yes, just to get us not to pay attention anymore.
Betsy, on this one, the justification is really very weak on the need for $10,000.
Mhm.
It does. I mean, what the sense that I have is, without this increase, we're actually losing money because the cost of fees for the various online services is going to go up.
Alice, these are not final documents. This was just notes because the paperwork just came in last night.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
okay,
this is absolutely not the final document.
well, I would really focus on the fact that the prices go up, and so we're really getting less for the we have to cut services unless we cover the costs of the increases in the various what do you call those things? It's not a contract.
Like
What is it?
fixed expenses.
Yeah, okay, fixed expenses. Yep. Licenses. That's it.
There you go. Licenses for the.
License fees. So that's what I thought. If you could just show that it's already going to increase X amount because of the licenses. So if we don't get more money from the town, we're really losing on an already depleted, pathetic budget.
The plan is to insert at least 3 specific examples. More than that, they're not going to read, but to put at least three examples of specifically a focus on our digital and electronic increases, because that's where we can prove we've had more usage this year.
So it's really our fault then that people are using these more.
Our fault costs us more money. And the other thing, it's been around for a long time, is what libraries do. We used to buy 1 copy of a book, sometimes 2 if it was a bestseller. Now we buy 2 to 3 copies of it in a different format. Mm-hmm. So we're saying, yes, you want to read the latest Stephen King, you can read it in hardback, you can listen to it, or you can read it electronically. But all of those,
or large print.
Yes, or large print. Although I think that's going away more so than anything else. But I mean, that's that says instead of buying 1 book, you buy 3. Mm-hmm. And that costs us more money to supply things. So this is our request, although digital services. I guess you probably ought to retitle this as whatever horrible technical supplies, which is what it's called in everybody's budget, and in ours it's the books. Nice term.
Supplies.
Technical supplies as opposed to office supplies and other things.
It's always nice when it's in parentheses, includes books, so we can remember like where the books were.
Well, I think sometimes to remind them about why that's such a big line. I mean, because that's the term that gets used in every department's budget is technical supplies. So who knows what shows up under that in everybody else's space. Okay, so the other thing we need to talk about is the capital budget. You know that there is no capital budget approved for this fiscal year. And Yvonne said, Steve Dunn said, there's some likelihood there won't be one next year. And The reason it didn't get voted on this year was because we couldn't have an election or a town meeting. Although in the end, we had an election. I don't know, and the governor, the operating budget for the town got approved by the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance because the governor issued an executive order saying they could do it. I don't think either one of those groups want to do that again. They didn't particularly want to do those approvals on their own for this year, but it was necessary. But so I don't know about the capital budget, but we have, oh, this letter did say something that they might try and do some of the capital items under $500,000 this year, which actually nicely covers the windows and doors in the library. So there is some small hope that we might get that work done. And I guess some hope is better than none. But so we need to put in for the capital budget, our elevator, our extra money for the ADA compliant bathroom, in the hopes that they would do it. Okay, what's the third one? I know. Was that's, oh, a generator, right?
The generator, the ADA compliant bathroom, additional money of 50,000 is actually not coming through us. That request is coming through Public Works. It will get added to our piece, so we don't put that in.
Okay, good.
Listen, has the Board of Selectmen ever made a decision on the report on Center School? Have they officially said we're going there?
No.
No, okay.
On the agenda for their meeting on Monday.
Okay, because if so, then, you know, that line about getting somebody to talk about the feasibility of that building, I think that would be very important for this next.
Yes. We are supposed to also submit a 10-year capital budget projection.
Perfect.
For what we need. And so obviously the generator and the and the elevator are on there. And so what are you, Yvonne, you asked Christina to talk about the 10-year capital plan, at least from the point of view of the new library.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a question first?
Sure.
Yeah.
A lot's going on, so I'm not thinking straight. We have to ask for the things again that were already approved.
The windows, everything that was, when we say approved in the current year capital budget, they were approved at the end by the Board of Finance to be presented to the town for approval. And it's that town meeting and referendum on the capital budget that did not take place for this fiscal year. Because we weren't allowed to be holding those kinds of meetings and referendum at the time. And there was no executive order that would have made up for that and said, in addition to the operating budget, you can approve your capital budget. That it may have been deliberate on the part of the governor. I can see that. I mean, that's really giving power to the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen. So in essence, the capital budget got approved to the point where the town would have been asked for their input.
Right, so we're gonna resubmit it to the Board of Finance and ask them to approve it again. The Board of Selectmen, then the Board of Finance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Well, actually, we're submitting new things. I think they're just assuming that we didn't give up on anything, that we weren't that that naive that we would give up something that was on the last capital budget.
The thing is, and I think you started off the meeting on a good note, in that it would be dishonest of us to submit a 0% increase or not ask for the things that the library needs. That's it.
Okay. Christina.
Yes. Okay. So Yvonne asked me to go through what we, some estimates for the next 10 years for the new library. So I threw together something super quick. I think we finally connected on email about an hour ago. So
I think it was about 20 minutes ago, but okay.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I started like going through, okay, well, we're going to need this. We're going to need this. We're going to need this. Call Betsy. Am I missing anything? You know, and like poor Betsy's like, I don't think so, but okay. It was good because we talked through it for about 10 minutes maybe and ran through everything. But maybe what I could do really quick is share my screen. Okay. And I hope, are you seeing the estimated 10-year capital expenses for the new library?
Yeah.
Okay. So 21, 22, $30,000 is the middle of two estimates that we had for, and really it's a question of, do we put it in 20 to 21 or do we put, I'm sorry, no, sorry, years gone by, 21 to 22. Like I said, 10 minutes, that's all I had on this. 21 to 22, $30,000. That's the middle of two estimates. And that's getting an idea of what the cost would be around the three different scenarios, right? That the Center School Ad Hoc Committee had come up with. And that's very pre-referendum. 125,000 for pre-referendum services. That's what we had paid last time we had pre-referendum services. The architects that we used were Doyle Coffin at the time. That's assuming the same cost. They know the project. We have the space needs study. The pandemic has changed everything. So they may need to do the space needs study again. We do not know that. There's no way for us to know right now. Everything's changed, right? Then 24 to 25, we're assuming a potential referendum then simply because that was the last that we were told by Marcia at the town was that around 2028 is potentially when we could bond for the new library. And that's, you know, Steve Dunn has told us that in the summer of 2022, when they get the final numbers from the school project, that's when he'll have a better idea for when they can bond things. So these are all what we know now. Then we're looking at 2026, 2027 as approximately when construction would begin, right? Based on that 2024, 2025 potential referendum. And then the bonding of, we're going to say $20 million simply because with the escalation cost, I think it was about $17 million, but there was no building to knock down then. I think it was about $2 million to knock down Center School. So these are all, you know, until you get an architect on board, there's no way of doing anything but really guessing at these numbers, right? But these are, the numbers, the dates are based on information that we've been told. We have not gotten updated information. So this is where those, where we could plug in the numbers. Did anyone have any questions about it? Or disagree? Everyone agrees? Great, I'm done. I asked really quick. Does anyone have any questions? I know you guys are only seeing this for the very first time. So, you know, it's something to kind of chew on a little bit.
Christina, do you know when the schools are set to be completed?
fall of 2022 is when we've heard, so they're due to break ground. From what I've heard, I'm really not the best person to talk about the school project. I'd rather that they were in the room, actually. But I've heard that they're going to break ground in April, and then potentially in April of 2021, I should say, and then populate the school in 2022, in fall of 2022, which means that in the fall of 2022 is when we can actually potentially be really, working with center school, as long as obviously the children are not.
Is there anything that we can, I feel like the pandemic has really changed the narrative with how important community spaces are. So I don't know if there's something that we should be thinking about to start planting those seeds, to show people the importance of having a library where people can socially distance and still do things together, because we don't have a space like that anywhere else in town.
Yeah, and Mary's actually working on the strategic plan. Well, Mary's heading up the strategic planning committee for the library.
Or a quiet place for people to have Zoom meetings. No one thought of that a year ago.
Right.
Specifically, so much as we use it now.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
that was just my comment. I was just thinking that, just to keep it present, what people are feeling now, combining that with what we need, and why is it so important to have a library to keep it fresh? Because I think when we go to referendum, hopefully, COVID will be a distant memory by then. But, I know now would be a great time for us to say, this is why we need a community space.
Well, I think, Jessley, even like the flexible space that the library was supposed to have, we talked about this actually at our zoning meeting when we approved the design, about how the school is going to be built to be flexible, with flexible space. And the library is what the library is, and it's not much. So your point is very valid, I think.
Even with things like, one example, Leslie, to just prove your point is, with all the remote schooling, we are getting more requests to proctor exams than we've had. We've always proctored exams. And in our current building, it's nearly impossible to do that in a good way. Ideally, you would have a small study space or a small, conference room where you could do that. Right now, we can't even do it. And when we open up again, we'll have to take up the entire community room if it's not in use to do things like that, which is just proving the point of needing flexible space. So Christina, the only comments that I have about the timeline, and thank you so much for doing that in a crazy last minute way, but thank you. Just bringing up one point, which is if center school is vacated in the fall of 2022, then in this current plan, which we can't do anything about right now because this is the plan, the building would be vacant for all that time until construction starts. So there would be an argument to get it started sooner from that perspective. Another point is that Marcia did mention and Steve did mention that they have saved a significant amount of money with bonding for half of the school money, taking advantage of low rates right now. And so there is a hope of being able to push the project sooner as a result of that. I don't think we have the answers to any of those, but those
are. I believe though, I had a meeting with Steve where he did mention that they were able to take advantage of lower rates. However, they were paying more in the beginning. So it wasn't like the the potential to, slot in the library seemed like it was, something that they were going to be able to do immediately, kind of thing. And then as far as Steve's always told me that until the summer of 2022, he doesn't know what the final numbers for the school are going to be. And he would be very uncomfortable telling us when we could slot in the new library. These are based on the information that I've already gotten. And if we can move things sooner, I'm sure that we'll plow right forward with it if we can.
Yeah.
I hate to put numbers, or I hate to say that until I hear from Steve or Marcia, I hate to put dates out there that haven't been given to me from them. I know that Steve's talked about fiscal responsibility and really waiting for those school numbers to come in, because those are much bigger numbers than our little library.
Right, right.
Well, and also if you look at it, I mean, we are saving as a town a great deal of money on financing the schools, because among other things, it's gone down from a 30-year commitment to a 20-year, which, if you know anything about mortgages, that's significant. But I think that there is a new cost of about $1 million to start paying off that first bond this year that was not anticipated, because normally you would not bond until the building is complete.
Yes.
So while it's a long-term saving, it may wind up being a short-term inconvenience for people. So we'll have to see. I think maybe the best thing is about the timeline is sort of, this is how long it's going to take us to get there. By saying we can do that first study in a year, and actually the pre-referendum services in a year. But after that, it takes, they estimated the last time, a year to do the final construction drawings, getting ready for construction, and then construction itself. So there's a couple of things in there. So that if we could speed some of that up. But the other thing we haven't got yet, somebody asked whether or not we'd been given center school, and the answer is no. So we start off saying we want to spend money to analyze some uses of center school and how it could play out financially, and we're not sure that will happen. I think the further we go, the more likely that becomes, frankly, because it winds up sort of narrowing all the options, and that's all there is left. And I know that while the building is empty, what Steve estimated, $75,000 just to keep the heat and the water running at a very low level. And he laughingly said he'd charge it to the library.
He is funny.
Yes, he is funny. But yeah, that winds up being, so in some ways, the sooner they get moving, it's like the escalation costs of what Doyle Coffin estimated, $14.7 million to build a library. And every year you delayed, it was an extra $350,000 added onto those costs, just because costs go up for the most part. So I think that's a 10-year capital plan from the point of view of the new library. I mean, obviously we put on there the elevator and the generator which relate to this building, and the windows and doors if they don't get done. And there's security cameras, which were $20,000, I think, that were in this this current approved by the Board of Finance, but not put into action. We don't know whether or not that's going to happen at any given point. I think that will, if it gets done, it will come under the low cost capital items that they're trying to push into some capital version of the current operating budget, so that they're paid in cash this year. They're not bonded, because we've spent too much time as a town bonding really low cost projects, because that's the only way we could get them done. So the question is, as a package, or do you want to worry about the 10-year capital plan, our current capital budget requests, and the operating budget separately, together? Are you?
I just want to say on the 10-year capital plan, item number 4, adding the DCA estimate, escalation cost to the project, I just would discourage you from using initials and things that nobody knows what they stand for, and to really specify the escalation cost of what project, because it's not in here. So just write in very clear language, no educationalese kind of stuff.
And yes, I agree, Alice. Again, those are just my notes to you all for this discussion.
Okay.
I understand. And
Good. Okay, good.
Some people here don't even know what DCA is, so good point.
It's a rap star, right? Run DCA, I think that was it.
Yeah.
So Betsy, what do you want us to do? Do you want us to vote on the budget and then the capital, or everybody together?
How about if we start with the capital budget? It seems to me that the 10-year capital budget, including the new requests, or the requests for a generator and an elevator. So if we, and this version of the 10-year capital plan.
Do you want a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I recommend we approve that plan. Approve the 10-year capital plan as submitted. Okay.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, are there additional discussion items on the capital budgets? No? Okay, all in favor of the capital budget as proposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No? Okay, the operating budget. The operating budget in which we will propose 2.25% increases for the staff, and 2.5%, does it come out to 2.5% higher for the operating budget, non-salary operating budget as proposed?
Are you asking me that?
Yeah, just to make sure I've got, well, we should just look at the budget as submitted to us here and approve that, even though it is more than a 0% increase.
Yeah.
Are you approving the non-salary portion separate from the salary portion?
No, they both, yeah.
So 2.25 on the salary and whatever's written in there on the non-salary.
Yeah, which appeared to be the 2.5, the bottom line.
Yeah.
Year-to-year increases.
It actually averages slightly less. Some were a little bit higher. Some, not every single line is a straight 2.5.
Okay, so the bottom line was rounding or something.
Let's say it's average of 2.25 all the way around.
Yes, well, I think Alice, you suggested that last month, that we not put the same increase.
No, don't. Don't ever.
Look at all those lines.
Yeah,
okay.
No, you want different numbers of increases.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve submitting that budget?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Okay, this comes with the knowledge that you will all come out and support this heavily when we have to go before the Board of Selectmen, the first selectman, perhaps first, the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance. We all will need to be there to say, yes, we do support this. We recognize the needs in the community, but this is our best planning estimate for operating the library.
Yes.
All right, any further questions about the budget? This one? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, thank you. I talked to John Voorhees this afternoon, who couldn't make it tonight, but he said he also approved submitting a non-0% budget. So we have him, and I'm sure, because Kathy's been around long enough that she would have said the same thing. She would not have wanted to go in at 0%. So I thank you all very much. I think, although this has not been a particularly long meeting, that I think we will postpone dealing with the correspondence we received until our meeting for the 27th of January, in part because it deals with a former employee to ask for input from the library director at the same time before we have just one item to discuss. Okay, so we will have an executive session in the at our end of January meeting. All right.
Okay.
So any other comments? So I hope you all had good holidays, and God forbid, hoped you were watching what went on in Washington today. It's very disturbing. So at any rate, keep safe and healthy, and hopefully we'll get the library open to patrons. It's open now, as Ellen Melville is fond of saying about the senior center too. It's open, we're working, you just can't come. But it is actually producing results. It's letting people use the library in some sense. And so we will be back in business. Thank you.
Actually, curbside has been extremely busy again.
Good.
So people, it got a little quiet between Christmas and New Year, and now it's crazy.
Now is well, from my point of view, the worst part of winter are January and February. They're
Long, cold and dark.
cold and dark, yeah. So, okay, thank you and good evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good
Good
night.
night.
Sorry for
Good
being
night,
late,
guys.
Betsy.
All right, good night.
This
See ya.
was fun.